Oh, hello there, little duck. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Unit Duck.
Anyone want to see my unit?
Oh, nice to meet you. Say, could you help me cross that river there?
Sure. Put your bags down here beside me. And here are 2 blue coins.
Coins? How are they gonna help me? Go all aboard.
Hello and welcome to CEAZOR Snack Sandwich. Today we're taking a look at Unit Protocol. Now let's read what it is. Unit Protocol is a decentralized protocol that allows you to mint stablecoins, the USDP, using a variety of tokens as collateral. So let's swing over to the site and take a look at what we are talking about. So if you look at the Unit Protocol, it allows you to mint the USDP tokens, and you can use any of these tokens as your collateral. So backing your USDP with these tokens. Now there's quite a few in here actually, and there's some rare ones and there's some very popular ones, like there's ETH and WBTC, and there is Duck. Now Duck is the actual token of this protocol, the governance token, and I think they've been fully farmed and there's no more opportunity to farm any more Duck. And there's a whole bunch of other tokens, and if you go down, there's also some special tokens like XSushi, which is a yield bearing token. There's the YVCRV DAO, which I've made a video on, and there's a whole bunch of Uniswap LP tokens and a whole bunch of SushiSwap LP tokens as well. So you can put these tokens in here and you can use them as backing to mint some USDP. Now, why would you want to do that? Because sometimes you can find USDP token opportunities outside and about in DeFi that can get you more yield than these tokens. But you don't want to sell these tokens because you're bullish on them and you think they will go up in value. So you can mint these USDP tokens and use them in DeFi. So I'm going to give you 2 examples of places you could take them. So you could take them here to Yearn Finance, and you could put it into this vault and you could get 41.66%, which is pretty good, which is not bad at all. However, as you see here, it says CRV USDP token. So it's not actually the USDP token that's going in here. It's actually the Curve LP token. So you would take mint your USDP and you would bring it to Curve. And this is the pool here. And this pool here, the main idea of this pool is people can use this pool to maintain the peg of USDP, and they can also use this pool to swap in and out of USDP if they want to. As you can see, the daily volume is pretty good, 3.6 million. And so you would put your token in here, you go to deposit. And if you had USDP here, you could deposit it here, and then you could take your LP token over here and deposit it here and gain this 41%. Now, alternatively, you could just deposit it and stake in the gauge, and instead you would earn Curve. But here you're going to earn Curve, and they're going to sell it to build you some more Curve USDP LP tokens. So that's kind of just an example of what you could do with the USDP token. Now another option is you could just swap it. You could just come here and you could swap it for DAI, and you could use the DAI somewhere else. Or you could go to this website here. Now it's up here if you say swap USDP, and it would take you to this website here, which is actually built by the Unit team, but it is a separate protocol in itself. It's its own contracts. It's not completely dependent on it. So you could come here and you could swap. You could just go here and swap and say, oh, I want to swap my USDP for, I don't know, whatever, USDC or USDT or DAI or SUSD. So you could swap here, right? So pretty much one-to-one, but it's not always one-to-one because there is pegs and stuff. Things get off peg, right? So as you can see, as you go up in value, you're losing a bit because of pegs, right? So as you can see, they're not always worth one-to-one, right? So the other option is you could provide to this liquidity pool as well. So let's say you took a look at one of these, and if you decided, oh, I wanted to provide to this liquidity pool, and I could gain this CMP token. So this CMP token is the governance token of this small little swap protocol. I could go in here to try to find out the estimation of how many tokens you're going to get, depending on which ones you've put in and how much you're putting in there. I'm not going to get into this. You can read the docs by yourself, or you can go to their Telegram, ask them questions. But this is it's an option. Okay, so you could provide to this liquidity pool and gain this CMP, or you could provide to this liquidity pool and gain the curve, or you could provide to this liquidity pool and stick it in Yearn Finance and just compound your tokens. So let's take a look at how to mint this. I'm not going to actually run the mint because, well, I don't really want to. I don't want to pay gas, and I'm not really in the position where I want to do this right now, but I'm thinking about it, so that's why I'm looking at this, right? And so let's say I wanted to use my ETH. Let's say I had a whole bunch of ETH and I wanted to get some USDP for one of those possibilities or opportunities. So I'd come in here and I'd click the ETH, and you can see there are some stats here. And if you go to a different one, like Duck, you can see the numbers are different, okay? So you have to look at each token and compare and consider the numbers of each token separately, because they are all different, okay? So I'm going to explain what these numbers mean, and then that'll probably pretty much cover most of it. So the initial collateral ratio is basically how much you can borrow of the token that you put in. Now, I couldn't find out whether or not this would go up in the future, because it does say initial, but the way I understand it is it says initial, but it doesn't actually ever increase. So, but that's my understanding. I could be wrong, okay? So basically, if you put $1,000 worth of, what is this, the Duck token, right? It doesn't say here, actually. That's strange. Yeah, so anyhow, the Duck token, I'm pretty sure it's the Duck token I clicked on. So if you put $1,000 of Duck token in here, you could borrow $250. Okay, so that's the initial collateral ratio. Now, liquidation ratio is if you become 50%, then the protocol will tag you for liquidation, and some other person can come and liquidate you. So for example, if you put $1,000 and you borrowed $250, and then your Duck token dropped in value from $1,000 to $500. So now you're at 50%. You're right on the border. But if you drop to 499.99999, you are immediately flagged for possible liquidation. Now, some other person or robot will decide to liquidate you based on the cost of doing so and so forth. So you might be okay, but you might not be, okay? So then the next one here is the stability fee. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with liquidation. This is basically the fee that you're going to have to pay, the interest you're going to have to pay on the USDP that you have minted. So every 1,000, if you mint 100, if you mint 100 USDP and you backed it by this token here, this Duck token, you're going to pay 12% on it. Now, this is pretty important, because if you go looking through, this one's only 5%, the stability fee. So you shop around, right? And the next one, liquidation fee. This is the fee that you're going to get charged to when you get liquidated. Now, to better understand this, I'm going to swing into the docs and read that to you. Okay, so in the docs it says, anyone can liquidate you and by paying your USDP debt. Okay, so if a robot or another person wants to liquidate you, they can have to pay your USDP debt. Now, what is that? It says USDP debt is equals to the borrowed amount of USDP. So in the case of the example I said, that was $250 plus the amount of the liquidation fee percent from this amount. So you would take, whatever that liquidation, let's say, was 10%. So you'd have to be 250 and plus 25, so $275. They would have to pay that, and then they could liquidate you. They would get your underlying asset. Okay, so it says here, after collateral realization, the remaining part is returned to the borrower's address. So you won't lose all of your ETH or all of your Duck, and you will still hold the USDP that you had initially gained, but you will lose that percent of the fee. Now, I know I'm not explaining this completely 100%, and maybe you're still confused, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what this protocol does, and please come and check out the docs, read this a little bit careful, and actually go into the Telegram and the Discord and ask questions there. I was able to get some answers from the people there. They were friendly, they were patient. They weren't exactly always there. It took them quite a while to actually come and answer me, but you know, the places I live in, maybe they're not awake at that time. So anyhow, I did get some answers out of them, so you feel free to do the same, okay? And then what is the liquidation fee? Where does that go? It actually goes to governance. And for fee distribution, so I believe that goes to the people who have the duck token either staked or held, or just the duck governance people. Okay, so the next thing I need to talk about here is this part here. It says USDP available to borrow with this collateral. So this is Ethereum right now. As you can see, it's ETH, right? So I could borrow $23 million worth of USDP, or mint that many USDP, based on the value of the ETH. Now they don't want, you know, if I wanted to mint $24 million worth of USDP, I wouldn't be able to do so, because you know, this is the way this protocol works. Now you have to look at this number. It's quite important. Now if I swing back here and I go to duck, as you can see, it's quite a bit lower, 2K, just 2K. Now the reason why they do this is because they don't want this protocol to be completely full of a single token, like, you know, millions of dollars worth of duck and, you know, not enough and of anything else in here to collateralize it, and it's just basically USDP is backed by duck then. So they don't want that. So they have maximums on them. So this is another number you're going to have to consider. You're going to have to shop around and make sure that you can mint the amount you need before you come here with your tokens. Now you go down, 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 and this basically shows you your wallet, and this shows you what positions you currently have open, and here is where you would then start to mint. Now, each collateral mints its own tokens. It's not like a collective thing where you put a whole bunch of tokens in and then you start minting USDP. Each collateral is its own minting. So you would say, let's say I want to put 1,000 duck tokens in here, and I want to mint 10 USDP. As you can see, this bar starts going safer, right? And maybe I want 1,000. Oh, it's almost very risky. And there's these cool little buttons here. You could go 50% risk, and it'll automatically calculate the point where you're at 50% risk. As you can see, it's quite a bit lower than the amount that I should have, or that I've put in here, but it's quite useful, I think. And you go down here, this is where you would do the opposite. You would repay some of your USDP and get back some of your duck tokens. So I think it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. Let's go on to the next part. So there's one more thing I want to mention, and that is duck protocol or unit protocol has actually come to Binance Smart Chain as well. Now, so as you come here, this is the Binance Smart Chain version. The tokens are a little bit different. You can see they have some cake. They have some different tokens that are on BUSDT, right? So they have these tokens that are currently circulating around on Binance Smart Chain, and you can do the same thing with this protocol here. Now, the USDP token is not quite as popular over here on Binance yet. I wasn't able to really find any place to use it. It's pretty new, so they're gonna have to build up some liquidity. So let's take a look at PancakeSwap. Okay, so here I am on PancakeSwap, and I wanted to try to swap maybe for some USDP, and as you can see, the token doesn't show up. It's not whitelisted yet. So we have to go into the docs of the unit protocol, go to contracts, click this. So we scroll down here to Binance Smart Chain, and here's USDP token. So I click that, I copy, and I paste it in here. Oops, gotta delete the USDP first. Paste, and it has found it. So I can add it here and click it. Now, if I wanted to swap, say, one BNB for this, or maybe want to go the opposite way and say one. As you can see, the price impact with just $1 is a 1% price impact. So that means that with $10, it's 8%. With 100, it's 49. So that means the pool is very, 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 very shallow. There's hardly any tokens in here. You could probably go through the info and find out exactly how many tokens are in here and so forth. But you get the idea. This is a quick way to check. Oh, that's huge, right? $100, I'm going to change the price by 48%. That's enormous. So the pool is very, very, very shallow. There's not a lot of tokens here. So I don't suggest you actually immediately start using it, but maybe you can watch around if you are on Binance Smart Chain and decide if this is a protocol that you want to keep an eye on and maybe come along and see. Now they do have the swap here. which is basically the same amount, the same as it was on Ethereum. And they do have a little bit more liquidity in here, 600,000. So you could go to swap, and let's check if I wanted to swap for Binance Smart Chain. Let's say, oops, not 0. Let's go 10, 20, 100, 1,000. So it seems to be pretty good. Obviously, you cannot do 100,000, but or sorry, 1 million, because there's not enough there for you. But as you get it, there is a fair amount of pool reserves in there. You could make some swaps here over to BUSD and use that BUSD somewhere else in DeFi on Binance Smart Chain or the USD or whatever. You can do what you please with that. So take a consideration with this and think about whether or not you think this is a good protocol and something you're interested in looking at further. And thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, please go to their Telegram and their so forth, and their Discord and so forth, and ask them some questions. And if you really want, you can ask me questions as well, and I'll try my best to answer them as best I can. Thank you. Goodbye.